Leave court or wear an ankle stun cuff. Those were the options given to Brice Rhodes ahead of trial as a judge pitches the possibility of electrically shocking Rhodes if he acts up in court. Rhodes is accused of killing 3 people back in 2016 and has a record of outbursts in court. Wave News reporter Noel Friel joins us with more on a controversial method that the court could use to restrain him.
That's right. Rhodes is facing a triple murder trial for killing Christopher Jones and brothers Maurice Gordon and Larry Ordway. We learned more about what exactly a stun cuff is and how the court plans to use it to prevent more disruptions during trial. In a final pretrial hearing Friday, the judge gave Brice Rhodes this ultimatum should he cause a disruption in front of the jury during his upcoming trial.
I'm going to give you the option of either staying in the courtroom with this cuff on your leg that deputies can use to shock you, but I'm not going to make you wear it. You don't have to. You will be given the choice of either staying in the courtroom with that device on or just being in the back.
A stun cuff. It's a device similar to a taser that law enforcement can use to shock inmates remotely. Here's an example of a website where these devices can be purchased, like this one, which gives an initial 5-second burst of 50,000 volts. While Jefferson Circuit Court Judge Julie Kalin says she hasn't had any issues with Rhodes since she took over the case, he has a history of courtroom outbursts. In the past, he's threatened a judge.
What you think I'm gonna find out where you live at? What you think at?
So you're saying you're gonna find out where I live at?
Accused another judge of having an affair with a prosecutor and being racist.
Are you a secret Ku Klux Klan member?
And been forced to wear a mask after spitting on others in court. Criminal defense attorney Dan Carmen, who takes state and federal cases across Kentucky, says it's rare that a court would have to resort to such extreme measures.
It's a rather more drastic measure that a court could employ.
Carmen says during a trial, the court has to avoid anything that could give jurors an impression that the defendant is guilty, so they won't use any visible shackles or restraints. That's why he says a restraint like shock cuffs might be used, because they can be easily concealed under clothing.
It may be that in this case that such restraints are not visible. They may be underneath clothing. It could be that in the judge's view, that's a way to solve this particular issue if you have a defendant who has a history of being unruly in court.
The judge told Rhodes if his outbursts continue, even with the stun cuff on, he'll be removed from court altogether. Carmen says during trial, it's ultimately up to the judge to decide how to protect the defendant's rights while still maintaining order in the courtroom.
A judge would normally be careful not to make a ruling that could be considered by a higher court to be too restrictive. If a defendant's rights, especially constitutional rights, could be seen as infringed upon, then in theory at least, it could become an issue on an appeal.
Rhodes will not face the death penalty after a judge found him to be intellectually disabled and suffering from a serious mental illness. The harshest sentence Rhodes will now face is life without parole. Jury selection for the trial begins Monday. Noel Friel, Wave News.